Oh my gosh, it's Hotline League episode 198. I am full of energy and amped and not drained at all from Riot's fucking 3-week extravaganza in November where they keep throwing stuff at me and I just have to continue to make videos and coverage of it. Mark Zimmerman is here.
More of the LCS doing like the LCS teams having 4 or 10 weeks of just announcements.
No. Well, hang on. First off, Mark Zimmerman, my constant co-host, is here. How's it going, Mark?
Great, dude. This is a sick weekend. So many things came out. You had Wheel of Time. You had Arcane Act 3. You had live action Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
One of these things is not like the others.
Yeah. Arcane is the thing that's not like the others because the other two are not great.
Wheel of Time's fine.
Raz is also
we also
here.
have Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. Okay?
Brilliant
Diamond.
I literally just finished downloading it.
Raz,
it's on my other monitor too, so if you ever see me just dozing off from one of our viewers' conversations, I'm just fucking playing Diamond.
Pokemon's the perfect game to play during a show. You really don't need any brain cells to play Pokemon.
By the way, Raz is here. I haven't introduced him yet, but he's shoved his way into the intro anyway. How's it going, Raz?
I'm doing well. Apparently, the people are saying that I'm too low.
I've turned you up. You sound like you're peaking to me, but I have just turned down my setup and turned you up. So
Maybe
hopefully
it's the way that the viewers are telling us they only want to hear Raz. Yeah. They're like, you guys keep getting lower, keep bumping Raz up until it's all we hear.
Perfect.
No,
now I have to yell.
Back to what you were saying, Raz. Though, like, it's not just the teams. Like, I am just so fucking drained today because it literally went like 2 weeks ago. It was crazy because I had this realization a couple days ago where it was like it was only 2 weeks ago that World Finals happened, and Arcane premiere. Then we went into free agency. Then Riot announced a game. Then they dropped that game and another game 1 week later.
True.
And that's multiple games. Arcane has been going this whole time. I did Undercity Nights. I did a secret piece of content that will be coming out this week that I can't talk about yet, but Mark knows about. Undercity Nights, which was awesome. And then yes, I just flew back from San Francisco this morning because Riot was like, "Hey, want to go up to Chase Center and go to a Warriors game, and we're gonna announce something?" And I was like, "Boy, golly gee, I wonder what it could be." And then I didn't need to wonder long because they accidentally lived a video on YouTube the day before revealing.
What was it? I think I missed it.
The world's locations.
Oh, I didn't even see that on the subreddit.
Yeah, on Saturday. So that's what I mean. Like, I don't want to. I will be like the whiniest guy to be like, wow, Riot's just doing too much right now. But I am like, some of this stuff is getting lost. Oh, Riot also announced their whole format for next
that one
year.
I did see.
And Challenger queue, which we didn't even get a chance, I think, to talk about that. No, that happened on Tuesday last week.
Tuesday was a bunch of big announcements. Yeah.
Yes.
Project L, true.
Project L,
which looks fucking sick, by the way. I remember when I was on when they were revealing that through the Undercity Nights, they were like, "Yeah, don't talk about it. They're just airing it, and we can't talk about it because they're afraid we might say say something stupid," which is wild. Like, I'm just gonna be excited. What the hell?
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I don't care. I don't really care about fighter games unless they're melee.
Disgusting.
Yeah, Raz, I was just thinking, you were part of the Undercity Nights broadcast, yeah?
Yeah.
So did you get a chance to do the Secret Cinema thing?
Nope.
Oh my god. Okay, so I'm going to air a vlog after this that I did with Prime Gaming. And it's like, if you live in LA, please consider going. I am not a big fan of interactive theater. I think I'm so glad I did this. For those that don't know, Secret Cinema puts on these cool interactive experiences where you kind of go into a world that they build and they have actors and all that stuff. And 2 or 3 weeks ago, I got invited to this Undercity Nights thing, and I thought it was just the Secret Cinema thing, which is they've basically built out the world of Arcane, and you can go and interact with characters from it, and you're go into this big world that they've put together in a place in LA, and I was like, oh yeah, I am just way too much myself to like go in and like RP or interact with like characters. Like I just have like I just can't. It's just not me. I am so glad I did it. It was actually phenomenal. It was really, really fun. It's just really, really neat. And they have tickets still to do this. I'm not getting paid. There's no hashtag sponsor situation here. I highly recommend it if you liked Arcane, even in a world where you're like not knowing about the stuff.
Any shimmer?
What?
You drug?
I did drink Shimmer. I don't want to spoil too much, but Singed had us all drink Shimmer as part of it. Whatever. But it is not. Here's what I will say. It is not. I know. A lot of people are going to say like cringe or something like that. You can go in with a group of friends, and you like if you really like D&D, you really like roleplay, you can go in and like go really hard on it. If you don't want to, and you just want to go check it out and kind of interact with people, and like you're basically trying to solve puzzles and stuff that they're giving you. It is cool. I'll have this vlog. I'm gonna air it on stream afterwards, but it'll also hit the channel this week, and it will give you guys kind of an idea of what it looks like. Raz, I think you're in the vlog somewhere because other than Secret Cinema, they also had like that was just one aspect of what they were doing as part of like the finale for Arcane, where they had like a big LAN thing. You guys were doing the broadcast, and there was a tournament, right, Raz? What were you? I couldn't see the tournament that much, but like, what was it?
So I was up in Silco's suite, which is pretty cool. You get a good vantage point of just like the opening venue. So basically view it as like an all-stars in a way, which is like, I think there were like 5 or 6 teams from different regions. So they flew in people from Brazil, Latin America North, Europe. They had 2 European teams, 2 North American teams. Like you had like content creators and players. Yankos came in. Not a lot of people actually like knew that he came to LA.
I just saw him. Like he suddenly pops up. He's in the vlog because like he was asking me about K Barbecue and where to go.
So the idea of it is that basically like they're just playing a flurry of Riot games. So like their round 1 would have like League of Legends and Hextech Mayhem. And then there would be TFT and Valorant, and so like you'd be competing against the other teams to play for their selected charity, and then by the end of the event, like Riot just added on their own some amount to the charity of their choice, and so like it was basically a charity event for whoever ended up winning the entire thing. And they had the funniest thing is they added bounties, which is so funny as a concept because objective bounties is a thing in the game but in this one it would be like, if you can get a kill before minions crash, so you'd be seeing perma invades, you'd get a certain amount of money being donated to charity. If you would be like, and this is all League of Legends, like there's some for every game, but for League of Legends specifically, it would be like, if you have a 25 stack of Magi. So there was a game where people were just trying to
kill each other.
Hunt, yeah, exactly. Hunt for Magi stack or kill the guys who's going for the 25 stack Magi's. It was all a lot of good fun. It was hilarious.
Well,
in day 2, this is the worst. Day 2 is the captains of each region going up against Riot devs for each game. So it'd be like the Riot devs for League of Legends versus the 5 captains, or the Riot devs for the highest rated, by the way, Riot devs of Valorant. And guess who won? It was the Riot devs because the captains mostly were just content creators, so they are not pushing past high ranking, versus people who literally like are highest rated at the game within Riot and also the developers for the game. So day 2 is a little bit of a clap.
Yeah, I did see some of the pro players making kind of passive aggressive, or some of the content creators or whoever making passive aggressive comments about Riot setting themselves up to stomp in these things.
Yeah. So day 2 it could have been better, but the competition was fun.
Rez, I don't know if you got a chance to talk to any of the voice actors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, dude. By the way, Silco is so hilarious.
Yes. Jason Spisick, I think is his name. Yes. I'm going to interview him. He gave me his contact information, so we're going to do something either for Rift Reaction or for my own channel. So stay tuned for that. But he was great.
He did a drunken story time on broadcast, which was great. And also when I got a picture with him. He did this with a lot of people, but I didn't know this. So when I got a picture with him while I was posing, he would just whisper into my ear in Silco's voice about the blissfulness of just like being drowned, which is like, what the fuck am I listening to?
Yeah.
I was like, hello? What is happening here, Silco?
Yes. Yeah, no, he said it was like a drunk history version of the history of Zon or something like that, was like what you guys had him do on the broadcast. So I saw him the day after you guys had him do that, and he was just talking about how he was still recovering from the night before, where like the bartenders had just loaded him up with alcohol because he said he needed to be wasted in like 15 minutes for that.
Yes.
But I also got wait, this is the last anecdote, and then we'll move on to something that Mark can be involved in. But
or your entire audience.
No, but like
they're interested. You're the one that's not a part of this one, Mark Zimmerman.
I don't think anyone in Twitch chat was probably a part of your story times.
But the final thing is, I got a chance to talk to Harry Lloyd, who is the actor who plays Victor, and we had a great conversation. He also plays the Targaryen brother in Game of Thrones, which was pretty cool. Like he was super humble and just super nice and friendly.
Wait, Viserys?
What's that?
The one who gets a gold crown poured on his head? Viserys Targaryen?
Yes. Same guy.
There are some actors who, like, the shows have just made me be like, man, I hate that guy, even though I don't know anything
but
about
this
him.
guy could not be more sweet. He was like the most charming, nice
so
dude.
Funny.
And
I am the dragon. That's probably what I'd say to him.
Yeah. No, he like came up and he was just like, he was so happy. Like all the voice actors, so they came back like the second day because you could just tell they were having such a good time interacting with the community. Yeah. And he was just so happy and was like, oh, this community is so cool. Like people are so nice. He's like, I don't play the game, but nobody's like holding that against me. He's just like, he told a story, which I'm going to ask him about in the interview too, where like it was years ago and he was like, he had gotten the email about this and he was like, what's League of Legends? And I guess his like brother or brother-in-law, I forget, was like, you got to do this. This game is huge. Like, and he's like, okay, well, don't tell anybody I'm doing this because it's a big secret or something. So it was cool. It was super cool. And I don't know. Anyway, I'll have the vlog go up afterwards and all that, but I highly recommend people check this stuff out. Mark, how's your week?
I already told you.
That was it?
I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you guys. A bunch of shit came out, and I watched that shit.
Oh, I think we were asking. Yeah, I did. You just listed. If somebody just released every movie that came out, or listed every movie that came out, I wouldn't be like, oh, that was your week. Thanks for the anecdote.
I mean, it was. That's what I did. I played Rune King for a little bit. It was a good game.
Oh, I need to do that. Yeah, I've got a code.
It's good. I was enjoying it a lot.
I think that'll be my. I have like no Thanksgiving plans, so I think that'll be my Thanksgiving thing. I'll sit at home and eat KFC and play Ruined King. Anyway, shall we? Well, okay. What happened this week? So there was all that. I think this is almost like kind of an open lines night where there's so many things to talk about. There's like the new format. There is Champions Queue. There is Worlds stuff for next year and the way that they're doing it. Play-ins Mexico City. Groups and quarters, New York, semis, Toronto, finals, San Francisco. Maybe some people have to talk about that. We had a bunch of teams that formally announced their lineups and the players. Yeah. We had, I don't know, there's just so much stuff. People might have no spoilers on Arcane for this show, but people might have like an opinion about Arcane or what it means or something. I don't know. It's fine for that. I think we can talk about a lot of different stuff.
Do we trust them to have an opinion on Arcane and not spoil it?
Yeah, well, I think it's not less like, oh my gosh, the ending is so good, and more like, oh, like Arcane made me play League of Legends again, or I don't know, like Riot should do more of this stuff, or Arcane sucked for League as a League fan, or I don't know. Arcane made me realize how shallow the esport is. Any of these random things people want to come up with.
Don't give them ideas now.
This show. The callers come up with just batshit insane stuff.
I feel like that should be the tagline for the show. Callers come up with batshit insane stuff.
Yeah.
And then we just tell them that's batshit insane, and we hang up.
That's a great title for the episode. I'm just putting this out there before you shoot it through YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You can thank me for that one.
Shout out, by the way, to Game Fuel and Alienware for sponsoring the show. We'll talk about them more as the show goes on. But in the meantime, I think Mark has started to pull callers.
Yeah, I'll do the spiel this time. I feel like I haven't spieled in a while. Can't wait to spiel all over everyone. So this is a live call-in show. If you've never been here before, you can actually go ahead and join up the Discord that I'm spamming in Twitch chat right now. Once you get here, go ahead and join the Pleb Calls or Pleb Calls 2 voice channel. Please mute yourself once you are in there so no one hears you breathing. Then go ahead and you will type your topics, what it is that you want to talk about, in the Pleb Topics text channel just above the voice channels. And, you know, go ahead. You think C9 won the offseason. You think they still lost the offseason. Say whatever you think. From there, we will, if I like your topic, I will drag you from the Pleb Calls voice channel into the waiting room where you'll hang out until it's your turn to come on air. Do a quick audio check when it's your turn. Make sure you sound good. And then you'll be on here telling Raz why C9 lost the offseason.
Yes.
Excellent.
And for those of you in the chat, well, first off, if you're a sub, please make sure you sync with Discord so you can access the subtopics channel. But also, for those of you wanting to talk about Arcane, Mark and I are going to do our Arcane review live tomorrow, probably around like 12:30. So we'll do that on stream, and you guys can watch that. And then that'll be followed by Resin Refresh, the Genshin Impact talk show that he and I do. We're going to do episode 4, which is crazy to think we're already on episode 4.
Have you reached out to Jeff at all for this?
No.
one?
Just realized I didn't do that. I'm going to do that right now.
Okay.
Dude, this week has just been insane.
I can't believe you let that slip through the cracks. Anyways, I'm going to get the first caller.
Okay. Hello, Jeff. Want to come on Resin Refresh?
What is Resin Refresh?
It's the Genshin Impact talk show.
Oh, the famous Genshin Impact talk show.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Mark is grabbing our first caller. Thank you to Kiwi Mullet Boy, Nuclei, Rovis, Penguin Buddy, Real Foxy, Riot Wafflefoot, Sheldeezy, Cherry Lace, Sakowitz, Chadius, Rico Suave for 40 months. Holy shit. And Chadius for 6. Thank you. We got more, and I'll shut them out. But our first caller should be joining any second now. Mark is here. Okay, and exactly. Timed it perfectly. Bluejay is here. Bluejay, remind everyone where you're calling from.
Hey, guys. I'm calling from Ontario, Canada.
Ontario, Canada. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
Yeah, so my take is the new super server allowing pros to play on low ping is really exciting, but also kind of terrifying. Well, I'm really happy that pros finally have a system to play on that doesn't put themselves at a disadvantage versus other regions. We hear all the freaking time to talk about ping, but I am worried about East Coast players maybe not being able to have access to that server because they're being so far away. So even though like I'm really fired up for this, I'm also kind of nervous.
So I don't think there's any evidence that they're going to not allow people. It just is, presumably they'd be playing on worse ping, right?
Yeah, I worded that incorrectly. You're right.
So I did a big interview yesterday with Greeley that'll hit Rift Reaction this week, but as a bit of a teaser for it, one thing that is interesting is that they said that the server's not going to be, or like Champions Queue, which is what they're calling it, will not be active all the time. And so I think that they will time it for when, they said that they're working with the Players Association on timing for like when the server will be active. Because he's like, it doesn't make sense to have it active at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday when like the LCS stuff is going, and like the pros aren't in there or whatever. And so I think that will help ensure that like it's not a system that is being used exclusively, and that if you are a good player, you just never play on the main server. Does that help you feel better about it, Bluejay?
Yeah, it does. I also wonder about when you say time, is that we're positive it's not like a certain time of the year, like during off season or anything like that? Do you know anything?
Yeah, it sounded like it was going to be more about the time of the week than it is going to be about like, okay, Champions Queue is down for like the next month. Okay. That type of thing. It's more about like, having it active when it makes sense. Because the other thing is like if it's just on all the time, like I think the goal is, I'm speculating that the goal is like, oh, Champions Queue is open. Like, now's a chance. Like, everybody go in. This is like I don't know how many hours it's going to be, right? Maybe it's 3 hours, maybe it's 2 hours, maybe it's 7 hours or something like that. It's like, this is the concentrated time to go do that. Because if you just have it on all the time, I think, one, it's going to, move people out of the regular queue and regular solo queue. It's also going to make it less likely that like you're able to, maybe the wait times will be longer, or maybe it'll be harder to use, because like if you limit the time, people are naturally all going to try to play it during that window, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this helps solve your problem, and we don't even have to throw to Mark and Raz on this one. Bluejay.
So I guess it's hard for me to say, because I think you guys would have a better idea than I would about whether the pros would actually utilize this thing, because there has been, and I realize this is not the same, but there has been like in-houses set up before that apparently weren't all utilized all that much. Like, do we think that players are going to use this thing, or do we have any kind of idea?
So I heard that this is not going to be proper matchmaking through a client. And that it's not too different from the in-house things that existed before, but that it's rather a Discord solution type thing, and it's not going to be substantially different. It just has Riot backing officially behind it versus the kind of like ways that it was handled before. And I think they will actually be have more investment in actually running it, because they will be included in, I think, inviting people in, as I understand it. So it does, and that's what I heard. I don't know if that's true or not, but that would be not so different that I would feel super confident in it being incredibly helpful for the pros, but who knows?
I mean, the way it was described to me when I asked about how it works is, they went like, the LCS and the Players Association went to all the players and said, why don't you use this? And they said, here's the list of reasons we don't use it. And so Riot and the Players Association were like, okay, we just fixed every single one of those reasons that you guys said you don't use it. So you're going to use it now, right? And they're like, yes. So like, it is a fair question. Like, the nice thing about this, and I think one of the reasons why it's good that the Players Association is like involved in it, and like their name was on this thing, is because players in North America will have like no excuse now, right? It's like, okay, we built the system that you wanted, and like, you guys said this is what you wanted, and we've done everything for you, so like, you're either gonna do this or you're not, but like, it's a thing now. And I that is, I think, what is going to be really interesting. To your point, Bluejay, is like, will it actually happen?
So, does Bluejay want to go first, or I can
No, go ahead, Raz.
I want Raz to go.
Yeah, go ahead, Raz.
Yeah, I mean, this is why we just need to hear more about it, because it's sounding less and less of a super server and more of just like, this is just a Discord solution that's kind of amplified. That's with a different, it's not tournament realm, but it's basically closest to it. That's a little bit more accessible, but I think that's just all that speculation. We'll just see what it is. But like, in-houses were a thing, and what killed it isn't necessarily those concerns. What killed it was just people didn't use it. I mean, it became a point where it's like junglers, top laners, maybe, I forget another role, but specifically, like, there'd be roles where people just wouldn't be queuing up. And I don't know what the new LCS would look like, as in when, who's going to be in the LCS, who's going to be in Academy. I know we'll get into that conversation soon enough, but if we have people that are willing to spam games, then that's going to be the solution. It's just people willing to play, willing to buy in. Because if it starts dying, where you're only getting like maybe 10 of like the same people playing, then people will just use that as, will be like, okay, well, it's predominantly Academy or amateur players playing, so I'm just gonna play in solo queue. So I'm interested. I'm not like saying it's a bad idea. I want to hear more of what the details are, and the fact that the players, and I mean like LCS and Academy players, like, it seems like there's a wide buy-in from the Players Association, then it should not fail. I think that as the only thing that matters is the fact that the players are buying in. And if it does not work, if there is still a problem with people who are just not willing to play and use it, then that's the end of the road of that. That kills the whole conversation with people wanting to play on low ping. This is their option, and if it doesn't work, then it's like we're never revisiting it, is what I feel like.
It should kill that conversation, but something tells me that conversation's never going to die.
Well, the conversation is just basically shifting the whole live server to the West Coast. Like, that conversation will continue on. But like, I think this solution should be used. And also, I just want to be more positive in the sense that, hey, people are bought in, the players are bought in. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, again, like the Players Association signed on this thing, right? They were like, hey, we did it. So like they're not coming out being like, oh, we weren't able to get the things that we want. Like this is, you know, what Core JJ went, you know, he seems to be about it because they were on board with it. So like I see some negativity in chat, but like one of the things that well, one, people can go listen to the interview whenever it comes out with this week's Rift reaction, but two, like Empire says, I thought it was through the live client. It can't, like, that is not going to happen, right? Like the servers are in Chicago, and Riot is not going to re-engineer the live client to be like, choose your West Coast queue or whatever. Like, it's just like, that is, I don't think, if you know Riot, I think, especially Mark, I think understands where I'm going with this, right? It's like, that was never going to be an option. And it's not because Riot sucks, it's just like, we all know how that client is. Do you really think it's a good idea to like shove this thing into it? But if you can have something that works identically, right? Like you go in and like you get matched onto a team, and then you go into the thing, you just click in and you are assigned to like a custom thing and you go play it, and it like,
I think that's
fine.
That's the most important thing, is the interface. Because if it is going to make it so that you just have to do, like I played a lot of god damn, what was before TFT? What was it first? What did it used to be called? The first thing that came out. Auto chess. Yeah, I used to play a lot of auto chess, and they had that matchmaking tool on there, you know. And it was basically a couple clicks and you were in. And if that's like the level of API involvement that they're gonna make, not API interface involvement, you know, like that's something that I think pro players will do, because people well, if I expect Riot will to give some resources into making it a streamlined experience, because that's, I think, the biggest reason that the players churn out.
Well, and there's going to be incentives as well to play on this.
I was about to say, I think the main thing churning, I mean, every player is going to have a different reason. The main thing churning players out is the fact that the best of the LCS and Academy are not using it as much as they should. So that whenever I'm looking at the in-house server that was used, there was a burst in time in which it was used, and it's like you just see people who are kind of queued up, and it's like, good. I'll just say an example being like, he's like, oh, he's in support and mid lane. He's queued up as both because they can't find somebody to fill in those spots. And so now so if I'm asking a player and be like, hey, do you want to use this? And they just see as like, well, I'm gonna get a player who's auto-filled. Is that better quality for me of a game than just queuing up on a live server? So I think the main issue is just the amount of people who are going to be queuing up. And so it's interesting to hear that they're going to have specific time slots, right? If they're going to have specific time slots, which I assume is like after scrims and then till like night, specifically for players, then okay, sweet, like fly in. There should be a good amount of people in the roles that they're requesting. But if you just have games that are low, you know, what I would assume some players to view as low quality games, because obviously the people who are the hungriest to use this are the players that want to develop, which are like either high amateur to low academy, and they're the only ones queuing up, then yeah, you're not going to, that's why the buy-in for me matters the most.
It's funny. Danon in chat says, I think he just checked the Discord from the Players Association, says Niles is still queued up for last offseason.
Yes.
The dude retired, but he's still waiting for his queue to pop.
He's
still waiting. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously like a critical capacity that you have to hit, to Raz's point. The question is, why do people start leaving before the critical capacity disappears. Because once it's like, the same 10 people, no one's gonna fucking play that. But like, why do people stop playing? I think a lot of the times it's like you're saying, it's people start bouncing around in these roles, and you start worrying about the quality of solo queue. And I think a lot of times people don't want to like try hard after scrims. Not like super try hard, like they want to play solo queue, but they don't want to like be on voice comms and chatting around and stuff like that. So I feel like that's also been a part of the problem. I think ease of access, just making sure that that's not a problem, that like, you can get into game very easily. The way that like if you queue up for solo queue right now, you click a couple buttons and you're in there. I think that's what you need to mirror as best you can.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is what the Players Association wanted. They've told me that there's going to be incentives to perform well on this server. That they're going to be working with the Players Association to have like toxicity checks and like boot people out. I guess like they're going to be dealing with one tricks, and my understanding is it was just, what would be the dream scenario for you guys? And then the Players Association was like, this is the dream scenario. And they're like, cool. And like, I don't know, maybe you like the Discord bot will stick something out like that you have to put into a custom game to get in. But like, if they literally are getting everything they want and the only thing they have to do is like use the Discord bot instead of like the automated queue system on the server, and that's the reason they're like, well, if I have to put a code in that the Discord bot spits out instead of just pressing play, like that's, at that point in time, I have no fucking pity for players who are not using the system and still complaining about ping, because it sounds like they've done a pretty good job of like addressing everybody's concerns. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Excited.
We'll see.
I think it'll be good.
I hope the incentives are more than a Challenger backpack or something like that, like they used to do way back in the day.
Yeah, I don't know. Game Field Victory Collar, that's what they get. Anyway, thank you so much, Bluejay, for calling in. Anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, the last thing I'll say on it is that I know there's a lot of people that are really afraid, kind of like I was, for people on the East Coast, and I just want to remind those people that like the idea here is that the status quo is not working, and so they're trying something new, and that's where I got to give full credit, because if something's broken, the first step is trying something different, and if it works, this could be like so incredibly huge for North America. If it doesn't, we're back to where we are anyways. And so I guess my shout out is for those that are trying something different and trying to make this work for North America.
Let's go.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much, Bluejay, for the call, and
adios.
We'll catch you next time.
See ya.
Yeah. Again, go listen to the interview on Rift Reaction this week if you guys want to learn more about it from Greeley's side. But I think it's pretty good.
Alrighty.
Thank you to, let's see, where are we? Sakowitz, Chadius, Rico Suave, Wooden Post to Monster, Jaffe, Bane Mall, Metal Sparty, CJ Foxy, a Booty Warrior, Ruins War, and GraysView is here. GraysView, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the Iowa side of the Quad Cities.
Where?
The Iowa side of the Quad Cities.
Iowa side of the Quad Cities. Okay,
I'll
what do you want to talk about on the show?
I can't list a single city in that quad of cities, probably.
No, you guys had to look it up last time, and you
Oh
realized
no,
that...
we did this before?
Yeah, you did.
And I don't even remember I did this before?
Mark, I
It's
can't
almost
believe
been
you don't
2 years.
recall this.
Travis,
Davenport,
name one.
Moline,
Name...
Bettendorf, and Rock Island,
reading
man.
Twitch chat. You're reading Dana, dude. Fuck you.
It's the 5 cities that make up the Quad Cities. If that
Oh,
makes
I do
any
remember
sense.
that though. Yes.
Yes.
Did you
All
just say the 5 cities that make up the Quad Cities?
Exactly.
This is disgusting.
What do you want to talk about on the show, GraysView?
Well, I wanted to talk about how C9's roster is exactly what Mark has been asking for years, and why all NA fans should be excited that C9 put this roster together. And
Is that why he's
we
wearing a
should be
C9
rooting
shirt
for him.
today? He's
Well, is that-
No,
celebrating?
I just have so much. They spam me with the most merch. They understand how it works. If you give me clothes, I'll wear them. And so if you just make 80% of my wardrobe Cloud9 stuff, I'm a big Cloud9 fan.
Wait, is this what you asked for, Mark? Is this what you wanted?
I don't know, actually, to be honest. That's why I pulled this, because I was like, what did I ask for?
Yeah,
Curious-
no, actually,
curious for
GraysView
him to tell me.
explained. It's going to be Mark
So-
Merrill. He's like, Mark Merrill has been wanting this lineup for a long time. No, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Jack actually paid me so that I could say what Mark has wanted, so that Mark believes in it. But I'll explain exactly what it is. So we ask every year, what can NA do to be better? And every year we throw out a crap ton of ideas, and we just went over one.
Oh, I know where you're going.
But Mark has always said that we always complain about why we can't buy Chovy or Faker. Instead of going and getting Chovy and Faker, why not go and scout or find the next Chovy, Faker, Ruler, Deft, whoever it may be? And C9 went and did that by getting Berserker, Winsome, and Summit. Now, they all might not hit, but I really believe that Berserker is going to be a next level here for years to come, best player in NA, possibly. And then another problem we've always talked about is why Korean imports don't work. We always split them up. So we have a mid with an English-speaking jungle. We have a AD carry Korean who has an English-speaking support. Well, we fixed that by having a bot that speaks Korean and someone who can translate as well for the entire team. So I love what they did here. There's a lot of potential, a lot of great things to happen, and I think Summit's highly underrated, and everyone's going to learn that very quickly, and same with Berserker.
We did a run it this past week about why people should be excited about Summit for those that are less familiar with his accomplishments. People can go check that out. All right, Mark, did Jack do it? Did he build the... Did he listen to Hotline
Did you get
League
what you want
last year and realize that this is what you needed to do?
More or less. I mean, even last week on Hotline League, I was saying if it was just Summit coming over, I was concerned, about the coaching staff and the level of just like one Korean guy on a roster full of non-Korean people in game and out of game. Other than LS being and Rainover still being there. It's like not a ton. And then they go and get 2 more Korean players. So in that sense, I actually am pretty happy with what they chose to do, and they're trying to find younger talent. One of the things I always said was like, who knows if Chovy becomes Chovy if you grabbed him early and put him in NA. The development cycles become totally different then. So but I always wanted to say like, why don't we actually scout people who you think are on the come up and try and get them to come over? And I think that's kind of what Cloud9 did. So I totally agree with the caller agreeing with me. I'm excited to watch this roster play, on top of the fact that they got we'll see if LS officially confirms or not, but like that's the rumor. Fuck, I mean, I was just excited roster to look out for. It's kind of got the same vibes to me as the CLG one, where I'm not like, oh yeah, these guys are gonna smurf, but at the same time, like I just can't fucking wait to see what happens.
The thing that I'm excited about, Fionn pointed out to me that if TSM does go through with like the rumors that they're gonna pick up players from LPL or China, you would have the three teams would be European Team Liquid, Korean Cloud9, and Chinese TSM for next year.
That'd be hilarious.
And I'm like, damn, I wish I thought of that, Fionn. That's good. So here, I got to still say it, but I've just given him credit. North America EG. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And then Australian 100T. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know, Raz. What do you think of the C9 stuff? Are you excited about it?
In isolation, the Berserker pickup is exciting. The support situation, I think, is a downgrade because I do think Vulcan is a great support. So I'm excited for Evil Geniuses. I don't know anything about Winsome. So that's something I need to kind of work on. That's
me for a couple players this year, so don't worry. I've said as much on Hotline League already, where I'm like, man, I don't know shit about Tortellini. I need to Google that guy.
Tukuli.
Yeah, Tukui.
Tabula to
oh god.
kind of
Mark learned nothing
no.
from his his previous situation with 100T and mispronouncing names.
But yeah, like I'm not necessarily excited for the support position. I like Isles. I need to learn more about Winsome, but losing Vulcan is what it is. It's a loss. It's a good development path, I guess, for the supports who ever end up winning out. And then for top lane, I mean, I'm excited for Summit, but the idea of swapping Fudge to mid lane, I'm not excited for. So it's just going to be a development split for Cloud9, and maybe that's their goal. Maybe they're just trying to find the diamond in the rough in the players that they're picking up. But I think Team Liquid is insane. I think Immortals actually just objectively got stronger And wait, I'm literally not TSM. We need to see more of their roster, and I think that's also kind of weird. 100 Thieves, yeah, 100 Thieves is literally coming back. So I think C9 got weaker for spring, but it's them kind of soul searching. It feels.
Yeah, I guess I should ask you guys, where do you think C9's, what should C9 fan expectations be next year? Because I'm a little worried that they're like, oh, we got Summit, that's sick, and then like they don't know enough about the bot lane maybe, and so they're just like filling in their brain like, we're gonna crush it, like we got these players from Korea, we're just gonna destroy everybody. And it's like, I don't know if that's what their expectations should be. Maybe it'll happen, but like I'm curious from you guys, where should C9 fans have their expectations set?
I was watching Twitch chat because someone was like, Raz is way off. C9 top 2 for sure. And someone else says, no way Cloud9 doesn't get top 3.
Yeah. Somebody else is fighting for third, top 3, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what's interesting, right? Is like,
I think third, fourth makes sense to me.
Does it? You think? Okay, so because we're assuming TL 100T is 1-2, right? So you think this team is going to be stronger than like EG, for instance?
We still need to know a little bit more about watching Jojo Pion. That's going to be a developmental split, and also Danny's great in team fights, but in laning phase, especially with the new support, it's not going to be the easiest start. So I'm excited for them. I mean, like, once again, the reason I say fourth place is that I'm open for them like picking up a lot of wins and looking much better than I would have expected, right? Especially since they have inspired. So I'm not like counting them out. I'm just saying, like, if I'm looking at the team objectively, I would say fourth place for third or fourth for C9. I think the only thing that's really weird is TSM, because they still haven't solidified a roster at all.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to try and predict exactly where they land within the top half of the league when you don't know one of the rosters that is typically one of the top 3 or 4 teams. So we'll have to see with TSM. But I pretty much agree with Raz. Like, EG last year with Danny, like the PowerPoint in the map was like mid jungle. Like they played really aggressive, and through the early portions of the game, it was mostly about like, where are those two going to try and impact? Are they going to be playing for lane? Are they going to be trying to get to top side and help impact out? Fuck, I hate saying that word twice. But without Jizuke, Sven, the mid jungle is totally different, and so you're going to have to learn to play the early game a totally different. Like maybe they can just do what they did last year, but I don't think so. So they have to find an entirely new way of approaching the game that this 5 wants to play. I mean, so that's why it's hard to just slot them into top 3 or 4, which EG probably would.
Yeah, and it's really important to mention the fact that Jizuke did literally win like
All Pro.
All Pro was who won MVP again? If I'm correct.
Spica?
I don't remember.
Spica.
Oh, Spica. But Jizuke was really close on that one as well. He was the best mid at the time, and I think losing that is
and now
a huge
seemingly
blow.
doesn't have a team, at least in North America.
Pretty crazy.
The league is cruel to our players, I think.
Yep.
What have you done for me lately is not even the case. It's like,
yeah.
What do I think you're going to do for me tomorrow?
The best mid in LCS right now.
Yeah.
Teamless.
Yes.
Jensen. Oh, I'm smurfing at Worlds. Well, good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I would also like to throw this in real quick. The last 3 years, we've had a team make it to Worlds for the first time in their org's history and then miss it the next year. So 100T was the team that made it last year. So I'm kind of playing the odds there when I'm really throwing C9 up there, because I think they're going to get a lot better throughout the year. And I also expect 100T, who I think has one of the best rosters, something's going to happen. Maybe it's their top falls apart, that they're not going to make it to Worlds next year, which, again, is the statistical thing that I'm looking at.
This seems pretty coincidental, though. I don't know if that's like the trend line you need to be looking at, especially because I don't know how many teams in recent history have like won and then rolled their roster over to the next year again. Like normally people win and then they're like, okay, we're saying goodbye to 3 of our players or something.
Yeah, none of them did. I just like that to make me feel better at night. So
yeah. Okay. Well, hey, thanks so much, GraysView, for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we take a quick break?
Yeah, I got 2 quick shout outs. The first one is I have a brand new computer and it is so much better. And I think you're about to shout out the company that did it. And it's the best computer out there. It's the best I've ever had. The other one is, I'm calling it right now, IMT makes Worlds. They're going to get the 3rd seed, and I'll call you guys back after they make it.
Okay, great. Excited to have you on whenever that happens. Anyway, thank you so much, GraysViews, for the call. Okay, I just had somebody reference this, correctly predict the sponsor segment that we're going into right now, which is the Alienware sponsor segment. Guys, listen, there's a lot of you that are probably looking at spending some money on Friday or this weekend or whenever. And all I ask is that if you're thinking about a monitor, you're thinking about some accessories, you're thinking about a laptop, thinking about a desktop, go to alienware.com/Travis and just take a look at their deals, okay? So all I'm asking, just go see what they've got, because I know that they have stellar deals around this time, and like put them in your consideration, because you know what, I think you're going to want to choose them. I think they've got great stuff. They make amazing things. That's why people shout them out so often on the show, because they, the people that call in, they've purchased them and they like them. So please check out Alienware. Again, it's alienware.com/Travis. You can click the banner up at the top to look at some of the new stuff that they've come out with recently. I know I've talked about the Alienware, or the R13, R14, and so I think it's going to be really cool. Whatever they're throwing together for the for the Cyber Monday, Black Friday deals, all that stuff right now. So thank you so much to Alienware for sponsoring the show. Really appreciate it, and we'll catch you soon. Mark, you want to go grab the next caller?
Yeah.
Okay, where are we? A half-eaten bagel, thank you for 3 months. Spencer Neutron, thank you for the 44. At tier 3, thank you so much. And Nero for the 46 months.
46?
Yes. Yeah. How many are you at, Raz?
Uh-oh. I don't know. Well, I have no clue. I have 1 day remaining on my sub. Am I going to renew it is the question, Travis.
Yeah. LS is in the chat right now. LS, I know you keep insisting that you're coaching C9, but I just is it really true? Like, I know you keep saying it so much that I just feel like it's maybe not. And so I'm just curious why you keep insisting that. It's very confusing. Okay. Let's see. Looks like Rico Suave is here. Rico Suave, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from New Rochelle, New York.
What do you want to talk about on the show?
What I want to talk about is all these high buyout deals is actually good for the league, because you're able to see these upcoming rookies and new talent come into the league. You could look at rosters like FlyQuest, EG. They could have easily gotten people like Niski, Reckless into their lineup, but now you have people like Luger, Takuli. You even got possibly Tenacity coming into the league. They've all been very hyped up through their respective league, and now we'll get to see them because these teams can't afford these high-profile players.
Why are you laughing, Raz? Huh?
What if I were to tell you that the next generation of talent are also locked in high millions of buyouts? That's also stopping them from getting into the league.
Are we going to talk about it? Is it out there?
I'm just saying, what if we were to talk about the literal same thing? Yeah. So,
What are we talking about, Travis?
Buyouts.
I don't get it. Why don't you elaborate?
What are
for
we
me?
talking about,
What are you talking
Raz?
about? What are you talking about?
Who are you hearing is locked behind insane buyouts?
Oh, I literally am not talking about a specific player. I'm talking about just the
You're
academy.
just talking
as a
about
whole.
all of
I feel
them.
like literally every time it feels like if an organization wants to hold on a specific player just for safety reasons, you got to pay $1 million for an academy talent.
Talking about Kenvi?
Well, I'm not talking about Kenvi, but I'm sure Kenvi's a part of it. I hear this a new story about this every time. So
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty much in the opposite corner and saying that it's a good thing because we get new talent in there. Because a lot of the times, the new talents, there are multiple examples of new talent not being in the LCS because the org wanted to hold them or wanted to have an absurd buyout for them.
Yeah, I do think this year in particular, there's a lot of people that are criticizing teams, and they're like, wow, these brain-dead team owners won't go just get this player and put them in the LCS. And it's you hear behind the scenes actually, it was kind of unreasonable, the amount of money that somebody wanted for, kind of an untested player. So, I definitely feel you on that.
I think
But I know we're kind of going off the topic a little bit.
Yeah, I was about to bring it back. I was gonna say, like on that point about the hurdles of getting new talent in, whether it be buyouts or just stubbornness for giving, certain players a chance or whatever. I do think anytime there's something that helps new players get into the league, I'm happy about it. Like how long would it have taken Tactical to get into the LCS if Doublelift and TL didn't implode in spring? Yeah. That's a fair question, because he wouldn't have come in all of 2020. He wouldn't have had a chance to impress people. Do you think a team would have given him a shot?
I mean, you could say the same thing potentially about Jenkins, right? Like we got Jenkins right now, and I do wonder if part of that is because Alfari imploded.
Okay.
So what we need is to stick all the academy talent on Team Liquid. Do they have a good? Do we know who their academy top laner is for next split? Because I feel like. Anyway,
well, isn't Tactical to TSM? I saw.
Yeah. That got announced.
Yeah. So he's in the LCS. But I guess my point is, like, we need whatever. Like, sometimes you just need whatever break you can get to get new rookies in. So, like, while I would like to have the best of both worlds, where players like Niski and Jensen get spots on teams, as well as new players getting teams, sometimes you gotta just look for the silver lining. And, like, yeah, it sucks that a lot of the star players aren't in the league right now. But I kind of agree with the caller that it's probably led to some opportunities that wouldn't have come in otherwise.
Best part is they're all young too, so they can develop and maybe even become better than all these current superstar players that currently don't have a team.
Yeah, I just hope that CLG is a great example of this, right? Like that's a lot of newer players, right? And contracts who's like reemerged. So in some sense, I'm excited for this. In the other sense, like if that team sucks because they lack like veteran players to help guide them, or like I don't know. Do we know CLG's coaching staff yet?
Yep, it is ThinkCard and Chris.
Oh yeah. So like if those guys can't make this roster work, I do get a little worried for them, because it's kind of like what happened with FlyQuest last year, where they had some players that I thought were really good, but what I perceive to be pretty shit coaching. So, you don't see too many of those players around right now. And so that's actually like one of the things I'm a little worried about is like, I agree with you, Rico, that we have those players to be excited about for next year. I just hope that they don't get like pushed out of the league if they don't succeed in their first or second split. So I'm crossing my fingers.
The thing with FlyQuest is they were all relying on Licorice to lead them, and that wasn't the case. He isn't the quote-unquote leadership style type of person.
I mean, I wouldn't put it on one player. I think a lot of this requires context, but for the most part, like some of the fundamentals of the game, the team just didn't have, and I think a lot of that I would naturally put that on coaching staff.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, you saw basically they moved what you saw, which was very interesting for me, and this is why I think like I don't even remember the main FlyQuest coach, but you saw the academy coach or the academy team come up to the LCS, and the LCS team go down to academy, and both performed better, and then you saw like the LCS or the guys that were in the LCS start to drop off. It's just like it seemed like whoever was going to the LCS was not doing great, and then would start off pretty good after coming out of academy. To me, it just looked like, wow, whoever gets assigned to this LCS coach is really not doing great.
Or when
so I wonder what the
moved to
common
Golden
thing is
Guardians and instantly got like Player of the Week.
Yeah, exactly. Licorice leaves
off.
FlyQuest, and it's like, man, what is the common denominator with all this FlyQuest stuff? It's funny how whenever a player moves into the FlyQuest LCS zone, stuff starts to go bad. So I don't know. That's just one thing I'm kind of concerned about. Like, obviously, ThinkCard's been around for longer, and so I'm not as worried. He's had a lot of experience or whatever. But I just worry sometimes about how quickly we decide that an academy player doesn't have it, and what happens because of that. Anyway, Rico Suave, thanks so much for the call. Anything else you want to shout out before we move on to our next caller?
Huge shout out to Alienware. Literally saved $1,000 on a PC and all the other stuff that goes with one. And now I have an excuse to ignore my wife.
Nice.
Have a good night, everybody.
Congratulations. Have a good one.
I was sold up until the end. What the hell?
Yeah.
Is that
Just
is
wanna
that
be
on
clear.
the side of an Alienware?
That is not a
What?
feature of an Alienware. That is a personal decision he is making.
They should put that on the side of the box. Now you
No.
have a reason to ignore your significant other.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. It's not what we're pushing here, people. That was an independent opinion. Okay. Chris Million, thank you for the 4 months. Lobs for Days, thank you for the Prime. Fiddlesticksbot, thank you for the Prime. Chris Million gifted a sub. That's awesome. Thank you. Wooden Post is here. Wooden Post, where are you calling from?
Hello. I'm calling from Boston, Massachusetts.
Hey, Mark's area. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about Arcane. Promise, no spoilers.
No spoilers. Okay.
So basically I want to talk about how that the success that, first off, I think Arcane is phenomenal, and I think the success and critical acclaim that Riot's been able to achieve with a TV show or something even remotely in the film industry is something that we just haven't been able to see to success with other video game adaptations. And so that has going to really kind of just slingshot, I think, Riot forward as a leader in the gaming world for other gaming companies to really aspire to, and something that they're not going to be pigeonholed on our only success is League of Legends, because not only just for Arcane success, but we've seen Riot branching out with things like TFT, Valorant, which is a shooter that's even competing with numbers against CS:GO. You know, Project L, which has lots of different, which is looking to be quite hype in my opinion. RPGs like Ruined King. And I think that, like, while League is definitely their biggest game by far, they're finding success in other areas in ways that other companies haven't been able to. Not to name any names, Cough, Blizzard, and World of Warcraft. But so I think it's going to really allow Riot to be just a leader moving forward. And I think that them using this world that they've been able to build with, like, Arcane and even smaller games like Ruined King is going to bring lots of traction and gain more viewers for League of Legends, but also for Riot's new upcoming MMO to basically just come in and slam, because people are really going to want to dive into this world that's being developed and quite masterfully developed.
I agree with that take.
I think it's good. Mark, you look like you were about to say something.
No, I mean, that's what I was going to ultimately ask is, like, in the long grand scheme of what will be Riot Games and League and all this stuff, like, how big of a splash is Arcane really, is what I'd ask. Is it just going to be a great TV show, like, or do you think it's actually going to, because the thing is right now, Netflix is getting all the credit in mainstream media. No one fucking knows Riot made it, at least that I see.
Actually, it's such a good point. So
every review I see that is not by an endemic goes, Netflix's Arcane is great, I can't wait, I hope Netflix renews it for another season. And it's like, bro, Netflix is just a distributor. That's like saying, like, man, AMC did such a good job making those Marvel movies. It's like, they didn't make it. Marvel Studios made it.
Yeah,
and, like, I feel like the average person has no fucking idea.
Let me see if I can show this, because I had not actually really thought about this, Mark, but then it made me immediately think of this. So Riot is, I guess, annually a charity bake sale. They did one this time that benefited, I want to get it right because I actually donated to the People Concern, which is an organization, I think, in LA that helps folks out, and it got some coverage. So I got invited to, like, get some of these baked goods, which were really cool. I posted about it on Twitter, and did a donation. But it got some coverage by a local thing. I'm almost done getting. Okay, yeah,
I'm
let me
so
show
lost
this.
what you're talking about. To be
What the
honest.
fuck? I just know that I might want some.
Right. Okay.
baked
Riot
goods.
did this bake sale, charity bake sale. This was how it was covered by local news. Netflix's Arcane bake sale. Like, this was at the Riot campus. It was at the Riot campus, and completely done by Riot. And KTLA 5 was like Netflix's Arcane bake sale. I've got it up on screen for the
Riot
podcast
bake
listeners.
sale at Riot, and
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
like, Netflix, baby.
And Riot PR was, I think, the people who worked with KTLA on it. And yeah, it's just so it is true. It is true. Now, I guess you could make the argument that maybe, like, I didn't see the segment. Maybe you can make the argument that in like they needed this as the lower third to like get people to pay attention, but then they're like, Netflix made a show with Riot Games recently or something. So I don't want to jump to too many conclusions, but the screenshot is definitely.
Yeah, you could easily go Netflix and Riot's Riot Games. They would fit on there. You just gotta use a slightly lower font.
Yes.
Yeah, so everything that I've review that I've seen, or just anything that says like, oh, what's the top 10, does mention League of Legends and Riot Games. And also the intro to every episode has like Arcane, and underneath it has the League of Legends logo. So I think so. I think the show tries to be as subtle as possible though. So I'm interested in seeing how like what the actual new player experience, if more people are going to be playing the game because of it, because like probably the most popular game turned show is literally Pokemon, I would say, from the gut. But Pokemon is just pretty straightforward in saying, hey, this is literally the same thing.
Yeah, like the show exists to get people into the game.
Yes.
Where like this doesn't quite feel like
it
that.
is like a pure marketing strategy, and this one I think is a great marketing strategy, but this one's a lot more subtle.
I think it's also going to help even internally, because I think when Riot's developing like new games, for example, when they come out with a game, an RPG, let's just even say take Ruined King, I think you have a lot of people who would really like, I don't really care about the lore of League of Legends, even who played League religiously or Valorant, but they see something that like this world come to life, and they can all of a sudden be like, oh, this is actually much deeper in a way that I thought was a way I didn't actually think about, and a way I can actually now kind of am curious and want to get to know. So even if not even necessarily only a viewing or helping new viewers come.
So here's a question I was going to ask or post to the group. And Twitch chat can chime in on this. I know we're all like Riot fanboys, and that's how people will position this. But okay, when you think about Riot, you think about League, all their games, the fact that they're now a publisher and they're partnering with indie devs to make at least 5 games that we've heard of so far. 2 of them just released, and now you've got Arcane, which is like a hit Netflix show and is one of the only times where we've seen like a good video game adaptation out into television or movies. What other game developers and or publishers are competing with this? Like, who else is operating on this level?
So that's the thing I was going to say too. And I don't want to be like a negative Nate, but like the amount of resources they sank into this project is pretty fucking massive. And like the amount of studios who want to do that is probably not many. Because you might not be as good as Arcane. There's a lot of like Eastern ones, like the Fate series is a great example, like Fate Grand Order and Fate all the different games and Fate the animes, and they have a whole like multimedia franchise. But this doesn't feel like an attempt to make a multimedia franchise. It just felt like an attempt to make a really fucking cool piece of art related to the game's world and characters. So like, I just don't actually think it's going to be that replicated, because I see posts on the fantasy subreddit all the time and stuff where people are like, this will bring in a new age of adult animation, and like this and Dota Dragon's Blood and Castlevania, and like I think to a degree you might see more animation, but on this level, like no way. I just don't think so.
If Riot, I think Riot's actually challenged the other companies, because I think lots of times you have other companies that will just they'll half-ass it. They'll be like, okay, we'll toss a little bit of money here and we'll just see what we can get out of it. But I think Riot, by forking up this much money, said if you want to be able to even compete with what we're projecting, or even just something even similar, you better commit to it, because otherwise we'll own your assets on this.
I mean, I think it's interesting. I was looking at some of the responses to my question of like, are there any other publishers that are operating on this level? Nintendo is maybe one that I see in the chat. It's certainly not Blizzard. And like just it's like when you think about all the games, the esports, I guess I should say, and the show, like it's just so hard to find any other developer / publisher that's out there doing this type of stuff. I mean, and I do think there's an argument to be made that with Arcane they've transcended game developer. Even just like fucking music, the music that they make, right? Like they make, we were forgetting about that. They make songs that hit the Billboard charts, you know? Like nobody else is doing that. So I know, like where it's not the cool thing to do to like actually praise Riot these days, and like this is a dangerous thing to do because then people come out of the comments being like, wow, Travis just sucking up to Riot. But I'm like, you know, you got to kind of acknowledge it at a certain point in time, like how crazy they need to guys do books. I know they've done some stuff, but they need like there's some other mediums that they haven't super done yet. But I mean, it's pretty insane how
I think
far
we're trying to
going.
hit the Zoomer generation, Travis.
Yeah.
I think we're past that.
I mean, like people point out to other things like Epic, you know, like has the resources in theory to do it. Like there's definitely situations where I think people could, but I just don't think they want to. Is I guess kind of what I'm saying is like you have to sink so many resources into it, and like while it's clearly a good TV show, I think a lot of companies go, well, was it worth the ROI? And you know we'll have to see, and that'll take a little bit longer to actually get the answer to.
But this like
I'm interested.
I remember.
I'm just interested if the show itself is profitable, right? If the show itself is profitable, regardless of the marketing strategy behind it, then that's a huge +1. Like season 2 is coming hot, and it's coming. It's just basically going to be insane. And they would probably just ramp up the actual, the money that they put into shows coming forward. So I'd be interested in that. I do agree that they invested quite a bit. But it hit the top of the charts, so yeah, that's a success.
Wooden Post, thanks for bringing this up. I think it was a good conversation, and we do kind of have to acknowledge the impact of Arcane because they've just pushed so hard on it, and it's done so much, I think. So stay tuned for Mark Zimmerman and my Arcane Act 3 review tomorrow to hear our thoughts on the narrative decisions. Anyway, thanks again, Wooden Post. And anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, thanks guys. Always a pleasure. And shout out to the entire cast and crew of Arcane. If anybody's out there listening, you guys made one hell of a show. Excited to see what's next. And shout out to my hardworking boys, Pat and Luke. Thanks.
Yeah, have a good one. All right. Let's see, where are we? Fiddlesticks Bot, thank you for the Prime. Thanks, everyone. How are you doing, Raz?
I'm doing well.
You traveling for the holidays at all?
I might. I'd have to think about that. It's like if it happens, it would have to be end of December.
Are you going to celebrate American Thanksgiving?
I think so. I think someone definitely invited me in, so I'd be going for sure.
Nice. Zemelci is here. Zemelci, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Oxford, United Kingdom.
How are the academics going?
It's going good. I am almost done with term, and then I've got to do multiple essays over the Christmas break and also translate some of the Epic of Gilgamesh. So that'll be fun.
Nice. I remember when
he's
I
my
had to
favorite
translate.
fake character.
That is both good and bad to know, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm glad you get it though, at least.
I have seen Fate. I am very unfortunate to admit.
I'm kidding. It's Alexander the Great. Everyone, calm down, dude.
He is very good, to be fair.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Is this some anime stuff?
Yes.
No.
Anyway, what do you want to talk about on the show?
Yes. So, my non-degree related take is that with EG and 100 Thieves rosters this year, the narrative of the LCS is, to borrow a quote from Peter Dunn, the battle for the soul of the LCS. And if EG and 100 Thieves lose, especially to Team Liquid, NA's long-term prospects will suffer because of a lack of faith in developing NA talent. And I can either elaborate on this or like drop
You said
it off.
EG and 100 Thieves? They're the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
elaborate on it, because I'm seeing a lot of imports on both those teams, so I'm a little confused by
Okay,
this
so
take.
specifically, like 100T, like there's a lot of argument about whether 100T is an NA team or not, And I think I fall on the line that 100T, despite not being made up of like North American-born players, is an NA team in that a lot of those players have been inside the NA system for long enough that like they have like it has become an NA team by virtue of having like grinded within the LCS scene. You have stuff like the top lane of 100T going down into Academy and then working his way back up into the LCS main stage.
All right, I don't think that's. If you're talking about Someday, I don't think this is like a contracts narrative. I feel like Someday did not go down there and have to like earn his spot back. I feel like that's a little bit of a dramatization of how that went
like
down.
the story. It could turn into another Netflix series.
Okay, but like my point being that like they have existed in the LCS the LCS system. They are NA players regardless of where they were born, and like specifically what I think is that both like 100T and EG, like whilst they have EU players, they took EU players. They aren't the perks of EU. Like Abadage was a good player in EU, but he wasn't like he hasn't won multiple LEC titles. And like they are built around taking players with a higher potential than where they're currently at, and then taking them up to that point. And like EG specifically, I think like with the promotion of Jojo Pyun, I think that like both, especially EG, because they've gone really hard on this in their branding, but like this is the kind of year where with 100T running back the roster they had, but bringing up new talent, and then with EG also like bringing up talent, they've got to prove it this year. And if they don't prove it this year, then not just fans, but like also GMs will have a lot of questions of, well, these teams did it, and they said that they'd find success, and they haven't found success. Why should we?
Okay, one thing I'll throw in there too is like, in order to make the case that like you should be developing more into the young talent for top teams, they actually have to win things, or at least like beat top teams in best of fives. And that's the thing that like CLGs and Golden Guardians and some of these other teams probably weren't going to do. In EG, while yes, to Travis's point, got inspired and whatnot, they at least still have two players that are clearly younger, North American. I mean, you can throw Vulcan in there as a North American, but he's established, and at least say like, hey, we're trying to give these guys a shot on a team that has veterans around them that can actually win, versus like purely developmental rosters, which I think makes them make sense to me. 100 Thieves, you haven't sold me on, but EG is separate from 100 Thieves in my mind as much as
I have a 100 Thieves thing. I actually thought when he was talking about 100 Thieves that he would go in the direction of tenacity.
Tenacity, yes.
Yeah. So I believe that the point of I would have agreed with the 100 Thieves point if it was if tenacity comes in and does not perform, then that will greatly discourage people from like looking into the academy system, which I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's a strong top laner, and especially in his solo queue run in the US, I think, which was remarkable. Like people will, and also his performance in academy. Like there's a lot of things to look back on. But yes, if he fails, if Jojo Pyun and Danny fail, which Danny is already doing really well, and he's on a fucking high key trajectory. He won literally all pro, I think third team if I remember correctly. So it's really just kind of a look at those players on established teams. Then yeah, that'll be pretty tough. Whereas the teams that are in the bottom four usually are a lot more free and willing to use, like for instance CLG now like just looks completely new and all that. I'm a little concerned with good old Dignitas and FlyQuest going across the pond for Dignitas allegedly, but I'm pretty sure with how much of the sources have been pushing on like
it's blue
blue coming in,
it's blue.
Like, that one for me is shocking. And FlyQuest going to Kui, like that one's gonna be interesting. I want to see how they perform. But like for me, I would closely look at those teams and their performance than I would 100 Thieves.
Yeah,
would be my take.
Okay, I was gonna say, Zemelci, I know it's late there. You're a great friend of the show. You've called in. You've sub all the time. What the fuck are you talking about with 100 Thieves? This was the first roster that we sent to Worlds since LMQ that had no North American player on it. Like, it maybe if they still had DeMonte on it and they hadn't replaced him with like Abadage in the middle of the year, like sure, like they don't even have enough faith and tenacity to just like run him as the starter for next year. Like they're like it's a 6-man roster. Like I agree with the idea that like a lot of these players have been here, but like it's not even like these players. It's not like someday like came through the academy. Like, oh yeah, we got him out of before he went to LCK and we stuck him into academy and we grew him and that type of stuff. Like, fucking closer came over 2 years ago. Like it's the 100th thing is just I think the worst argument for this. No offense, but no, hang on.
We swapped roles for this call. What happened?
I know. But here's where I will change this. Like the better way to look at it, I think, instead of comparing like what were you said EG and 100T versus what TL and C9?
Like TL, yeah.
TL particularly, because I think TL is peak old guard.
Yes.
Like it's
they're the Yankees.
Well, here's the two different. I'll split this into two for you. One is, instead of comparing teams, just say EG has to, like, if JoJo and Danny survive and are top performers, then that is, like, a great thing, versus, like, they could have gone with Doublelift and Jensen, and, like, if in, like, summer we see JoJo get subbed out for, like, Jensen, who comes off of hiatus to come in, then, like, that's the issue. Like, that to me is the test. Like, there's a lot of pressure, I think, on JoJo and Danny, for instance, in EG. I think if you want to find like a test to go with, like that is one of them. I think the other thing that you could say we are testing is something like, hey, if I don't know, like C9 and let's say TSM goes with like young talent they didn't pay for a ton for or something like that, like versus TL and 100T, for instance, you could say like this is a test to see if like you truly do need to spend a lot, and whoever spends the most is the one who wins. Because like I do think presumably TSM, and seemingly C9 are both like cutting costs a little bit, and like they're not spending what they spent previously by a lot, is what I would guess. And so like that's the other kind of like fulcrum or whatever you could say. I don't know what the word is, but like that's the other thing you could look at as the pivot point for discussions on like, okay, like, two different philosophies that are clashing, which one's going to win out? Here are the areas to look at. I just like, it's tough for me to look at that EG and 100T and be like, oh yeah, like if they can outperform like TLC9, like that's where we're going to see NA talent be the victor,
Raz, did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I think just a small one is that I also think that looking to the community and the expectation is really important. That a lot of people will push the idea that they love new talent coming in, and then if they don't hit the same, ranking that were in last split, let's just say Evil Geniuses went pretty far in the regular season last split. Jizuke performed really well. If Jopyeon has like let's just say an average split or a rough split, and he's always going to be compared to Jizuke or Jensen, the community is going to be on one end saying, yeah, get him in, and then by the end of the split are going to be fucking calling for his head. This happens like literally every time. Yeah. so I just want there to be like an understanding that this is a full year commitment in my mind. If we just realize, oh, he's playing just as we kind of called it at the beginning of the split, and they move him out because there's pressure, and then we go back to like veteran talent, then it's like, okay, what did we learn here? We learned nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I last week had said that it's hard to tell if EG made the right move this year because I don't think we'll even know till next year. Which, you'll want Jojo Pune to probably not have the expectation that if he doesn't win the LCS as a rookie, it's a failure. Like, give him a year or two. The other thing I was going to say on the topic of like paradigm shifts that Travis was kind of hinting at, last year we had made a prediction about one team that was kind of doing this, and it was CLG as an old guard way.
The caller said this,
yeah, everyone was kind of like, all right, CLG is the only team still building rosters with just like 5, slapped together veterans. And it failed. And I think in a sense that's almost like, I feel bad for all those players, but I think the idea behind that team was not great. And I feel like this could be the version of that this year, where it's like these teams that are not splurging on the superstars and they're trying to incorporate more rookies right out the gate. Like I think that could be one. CLG as another example. Like I don't think they have the expectations to win the split, but if they outperform some of these teams who might have spent more money on imports and stuff like that, you can even look at like the Blue and Pride Soccer situations and be like, well, you could have just done what CLG did. That will probably be another potential shift, because I don't think anyone built like CLG built last year this year. Is there any CLG this year?
No, I mean, like, Dig is like kind of a different version of it. I would argue, like, it's not a bunch of old NA vets or something like that, but it is kind of like I don't know, we're like finding it's kind of like this. I don't know what they're spending, right? But it does feel like they're like, rather than going the NA rookie talent stuff, they're like, let's bring over like some of these players that have done well. And so I think that's the only thing I can consider that is similar. And they brought like Biofrost back. I love Vincent, but like that is kind of like a CLG move. In fact, CLG
it's
has
truly counter logic to be like the idea of like, hey, this player did well overseas, bring him over. Yeah. They went for the route of, hey, this player did poorly overseas, let's bring him over. I'm looking forward.
Yeah, here's the final thing I want to say on this stuff is like, I am very curious to see what everybody's power rankings are like before the start of the split next year, whenever Mark does his and the Dive does theirs and all the co-streamers do theirs and all that stuff, because I think my suspicion is people are going to do the power ranking of top 5, bottom 5, and they'll sort people accordingly. But I think that will have more to do with like legacy of these orgs, because I feel like, for instance, if somebody went into a coma and they woke up and you're like, hey, TSM, what's a good example? Actually, maybe like C9, or I don't know, somebody is running the IMT roster. And they swapped, and then IMT, you give IMT like the eventually TSM roster or the C9 roster. I think there's a chance people would rank the IMT roster higher because they're like, oh, it's TSM and they're doing this interesting thing, and like PoE's great, and Wild Turtle's always been stable, and like, yeah, they're taking a couple bets, but like, so I do think there will be, even though some of the top teams are taking bigger risks than they normally do with some of their players, I guess maybe you could even make the same argument about EG, and depending on how you feel about JoJo and Danny, I think that people will overlook some potential strength in some of the bottom 5 because they're like, well, it's TSM. We don't bet against them.
An Arrow showed up in chat and he raised a good point. Are we putting Golden Guardians 10th again? Is it time to do Golden Guardians 10th again?
I don't think
it's a yearly tradition.
I did that. I mean, it's a Mark Zimmerman tradition. I don't ever rank them bottom, I think. I mean, I did my Twitch chat bullies me into power rankings or tier lists or whatever on the free agency day, and I don't think I picked Golden Guardians last.
The other thing
I have an easy one for me. For me, it just has to be Dig. Put it in a what's it called, montage if they don't get 10th place. Like, that would be exciting. I think River's great, but it thinks it's gonna be a tough run for them. I
mean, I'm also kind of worried. Is Afro still in the chat? Afro, you're gone, right? I'm also kind of worried about the FlyQuest roster. Like, a FlyQuest roster, I think, looks better on paper than the Dig one, and I don't know, probably is, but like, Kuma's had a rough go of it. Jose Diodo came in with like a lot of fanfare, didn't really deliver. Like, Aframu has great splits and then some not great splits, and we don't know anything about Takuli, and Mark won't even pronounce his name correctly. So, and Johnson, I think, is also Johnson's had years where like people are like, Johnson's smurfing.
What the hell about?
We're just we are doing this man's name wrong.
Marcus. So like I don't know.
Tabuli,
I'm also kind of worried about the fly question. Takuli.
You can call him the French balls.
Tabuli. It's like a,
I'm a fan of calling him the French balls.
Okay.
Tartaglia.
Just so people know, Kui or Kui, I'm pretty sure it's Kui, is literally testicles in French. Good luck.
Is it Takui?
Yes.
Took 2 years of French and I know nothing. Okay.
Is that 2 testicles? Is that what it's?
Zemelci.
It's like all testicles or all balls or something like that. So that's something. So yes, have fun with that one, guys. This is going to be a great time to cast.
I forget what I was gonna say. Oh, the other thing I was gonna say that's really important is Anero retweeted Creed singing at the Super Bowl, and it really distracted me in the middle of the show. I don't know if Anero's still here, but fuck you, dude.
Wait, what?
Will you take me higher?
20 years ago, magic happened. All right. Anyway, thank you so much, Zemelci, for the call. You should get some sleep. What time, or what do you want to shout out?
Okay, well, shout out to Game Fuel. They don't sell in Europe, and they really should. It would help me not end these calls late at night.
Very good.
We appreciate
And
you,
then,
man.
You
finally,
should give him the Game Fuel victory caller, and then figure out how to get it there.
Yeah.
I would take that anyway.
Thanks, Mark.
My
Really
my
helpful
other my other shout out is to Team Sucker Bunch. So if you like League of Legends and you want to watch League of Legends, but you don't want to watch League of Legends, watch Pokemon Unite. And if you want to watch Pokemon Unite, watch Team Sucker Bunch. Their handle is at @suckerbunch_. They've got some really cool people in them. You might recognize one of the names on them. Their jerseys are sponsored by The Completionist.
All right, we don't need their
their
family history as Zemelci. Thank you
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the call. Get some sleep. I really appreciate you calling in. Okay. All right. Thank you to Mathul for the Prime and Fish Sticks for the 26 months. Appreciate it. No, a bunch of love to Zemelci. He's always been a good sport. But I did. It's oftentimes the callers that are repeat callers that I know realize that I'm not trying to shame them, where I feel like I can be maybe the harshest in my response to their take. Okay. Harama says my friend is on a top Pokemon Unite team with Frosk. Frosk was trying to crowdsource Vi Caitlyn pornography today on Twitter. NoGameSense is here. NoGameSense, where are you calling from?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh, you're kind of quiet. I'm going to turn you up. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to get your guys' opinion on like the rationale of like kind of the bottom tier LCS teams bringing in like lower tier EU players and instead of like some of the NA Academy or NA amateur players. Like I know EG had success with Danny and such, and I feel like it's kind of getting repetitive almost, but I feel like there's some great players like Fire or like even like Acadian could still play in like place of Pride Soccer. I don't know if he would want to, but I just feel like there's a general oversight in NA and like people just would rather pull from EU. And I mean, they have the import slots, so they're free to do it. But I was just wondering what you guys' thoughts were on that rationale or like what the teams are thinking.
Yeah, I wonder if Pride Stalker is Anero's bet on like a closer level player, where it's like, okay, people are kind of aware of this player. Maybe, there's a belief like we can bring him in and like he'll really smurf in LCS and people will like him. So like I don't know, Mark, do you think Pride Stalker fits within, what was it, the first caller or whatever, the second caller that said that C9 is executing on your vision? Do you think Pride Stalker is an example of going and finding a player from the region that fits that?
No, Pride Stalker's been playing for too long for me to want to say that. He's been around for a minute. And I think he's, could be a good veteran import that's like slightly cheaper than, like inspired level people that you're trying to bring over. I think for Golden Guardians, I think what his role is supposed to be is not like, look at this low-key development thing that we found, but like, hey, we have import slots open. We want someone talented in the jungle, but we can't ball out for big names. Like maybe this is a good one to grab. He's 2 years younger than Iconic, sure, but he's played a fuckload more. He's played
Mark responding to Dane in on the chat.
Sorry, yeah. He's been playing since 2016 and Misfits Academy since 2017. Like it's a slightly higher level that he's been competing at. I don't think a talent development is entirely linked to age. But either way, I think like he is supposed to be someone who has more of the experience and some of the people. I mean, Lost, Blaze Olive, Licorice, they all played a while. I don't think they are a super experienced team, but they're clearly not trying to just develop talent
anymore. Yeah, do you feel like they gave up on it after last year?
I don't feel like you want to be perma development, right? Like you're like a Blaze Olive looks good. What are you going to do? At some point, you have to put pieces around him, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's more what they were going for this year than
this is like phase 2 of it. It's just
Yeah, you can't get stuck in permanent development, otherwise you're just a fucking feeder team. So I think that they don't have the budget. I mean, I don't know Golden Guardian's budget, but reading between the lines, I don't think this is a development team, and that's what I was kind of saying about Pride Stalker. I don't think he's there to be developed. Whereas Takuli, maybe you can argue he's more developmental focused and more aligned with that kind of like C9 approach with some of the younger Korean players they're bringing in. I admittedly don't know as much about Takuli, but he seems greener than some of the other imports that are coming in from Europe.
Bakery from Dignitas says, in Dig's case, for all of our additions, our scouting showed that they were better than the community opinion of them was. So Dig kind of trying to go with the, like, I don't know, people overuse this reference, but I guess Moneyball approach of like, oh, we found these players that we think are better than what people think. You know, the community might think they're bad, but like our scouting shows that they're good, and so we're gonna run them. I mean, it's in some sense, it's like a nice place for Dig to be in, because people are his expectations. Like, people are ranking them 10th. Somebody on this very show just said that moments ago, and so for them, they could only overperform if the players only need to be slightly better than the community thinks that they are, in order for them to
8th
exceed
place coming in hot, baby.
Yeah,
you underestimated our power.
Hey, that's playoff summer? We made playoffs. But hey, you know, so my take on it. So I have a different belief on development when it comes to players. I think too many people link development to age, or, you know, if someone has showcased like good mechanics or good growth, like a sense of growth throughout like a specific period of play, or if through the conversations you have internally, like, oh, this person's really like flexible to change, like he's easily able to like take in feedback, he's applying the feedback like on a consistent basis. Like on Pride Stalker, I'm genuinely interested, like, because yes, he did have a bad time in Europe when he was in the Premier League. Like, that's the case. Like, he was hyped up before he went into that league because of his performance in solo queue, and then obviously like that run happened. But then of course he's been performing well since going back into ERLs, and so like I'm interested in him only because I do think that him coming onto Golden Guardians, you're right, I think a lot of this is like between Pride Stalker, Lost, the Blaze Olive, a lot of that is kind of seeing if players like them can develop, and also Ole, who I think personally Ole is LCS caliber. I know a lot of people think he's LCS caliber. It just comes down to whether it can work and if the team can grow, and if these players like Lost, Olive, and Pride Stalker, mostly Pride Stalker and Lost, who's had like previous experiences that like have dampened people's opinions on them, like. People have changed their opinions on players over a split because them resurging. Like, probably the most recent example I can think of, though I'm sure the chat can go through of them, like, it would probably be like something like an Afromu, right? Who, throughout times on 100 Thieves, is like, people would trash him, and then he comes back, and he had that huge performance surge on Dignitas. Things like these happen. Like, players can grow and develop, and it not necessarily have something to do with age. It can just have something to do with them changing their routine or changing how they think about the game. Fudge, yes, but Fudge, that one's a different one. I think that one he was introduced to coaching staff and like game knowledge he didn't have previously in Oceania. So yeah, I'm excited for Golden Guardians. They may still rank low, like it's spring split, so like I'm okay with that one. The one that I'm less excited for, because like Dignitas, I think Neo and Dignitas, fucking great, right? Like, I want to see Neo again. Biofrost, I'm open to that, because of what he was in the past. Blue, like, we just had Saligo. Saligo, if we're talking about players who can develop and get better, he was getting fucking good in Academy. Like, so I don't know what. Maybe I'm just completely disconnected to that one.
I feel like the other thing that too for that move is anytime a player from another or a coach from another region brings in a player that they've worked with previously who does not wow the external viewers, it's hard to not arch an eyebrow at that move. Like the Aka situation before, like this has shades of that, where it's, who knows how it'll go. I will keep an open mind, but to Raz's point, there's definitely some academy mids. Who knows what the buyouts are? It's hard to know exactly behind the scenes. But Sligo was there. They could have, re-upped him. But
yeah, I mean, Insanity is still is still there. I know that CLG was able to get the previous FlyQuest mid laner.
Palafox.
And Palafox. So that's kind of closed. But there are a lot of mids that were available. And people are not going to like the name of Ryoma because of because of the previous splits and LCS. But once again, he was smurfing in academy. He actually developed. He got better. So in a different situation can help out. These are all questions that I had, and you can make have a conversation on. But I didn't understand Blue, so. And I'm saying I didn't understand Blue, not in the case that I don't have context. I watched the LEC split, and both spring and summer, it was bad, so I don't understand the decision.
NoGameSense. I figure we've probably answered your question pretty thoroughly, yes?
Yeah.
Very good. Anything you want to shout out before we take a quick break?
No, just shout out Game Fuel. Love you guys. Keep doing what you do.
Well, thank you so much for the call. I'm happy that NoGameSense decided to shout out Game Fuel because it makes my job easy. Callers are sensing now where we're going, I think. Well, he says NoGameSense, but maybe he has sponsor sense because it's time to talk about Game Fuel. Listen, I've had a crazy week, and it's going to continue, I guess, for another couple days at least. And I really appreciate having Mountain Dew Game Fuel at my side as I navigate it all, or at least as I need a little bit of a pick-me-up sometimes whenever it's been a long day. Flying back from San Francisco today, having a long day, and then doing the show, I need to be able to bring it, all right? You guys know that I'm just a bundle of energy on this show, that I just exude cheer and intensity, and it's because of Game Fuel that I'm allowed to do that. So thank you so much, Mountain Dew Game Fuel, for sponsoring the show. Please do yourself a favor, do me a favor, go to gamefuel.com/Travis and check out what they have to offer and use code Travis at checkout to save on your order. It's awesome with the support that Game Fuel provides us here on the show. We love them so much. So again, thank you to Game Fuel for sponsoring the show, and hope you can grab a drink soon. Mark is off to grab our last caller of the night. Knothead, thank you for the 3 months. Appreciate it. Looks like Mark is back with Jontino. Jontino, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the Gold Coast, Australia.
Gold Coast, Australia. We love our Aussie callers. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
But my take was essentially, with regards to... sorry, some of the audio just went weird.
You're good.
So my take was, I think Golden Guardians is seriously being slept on for next year. I think we've all essentially forgotten how good this team got at the end of 2020. And I think with the way this roster has actually formed and come together, I think we're going to get a resurgence of Golden Guardians to at least the top half of the league next year.
Do you realize that none of the players from 2020 are around?
I believe he meant 2021. I assume he meant 2021.
Well, I know it was... 100 Thieves, they heisted all those players, they took them away, but they built a roster out of players which no one was really thinking were that good at the time.
Okay, so you're saying...
And I think they're going to do it again.
You're saying that people forget how good the 2020 roster was, and maybe another way of saying that is people forget that most of what 100T is running is Golden Guardians 2020 roster. That roster went on to win Summer this year with some slight changes. And so, maybe they can do it again with this lineup. Maybe they're evolving that lineup in 2022.
Essentially, because I just think there's so much to be excited about with all the players that they've brought on. I think a Blaze Olive, we really saw him pick up last year. He's so interested in trying all these new picks, and really diving into the early game. I think Pride Stalker is going to fit really well with sort of the new meta we got with preseason, with all these sort of assassin junglers coming in. And I think Ole, coming back into the league after grinding in Korea for a year, he had the chance to walk away if he really wanted to. And he opted to come back. I think that's the man you should probably be afraid of. And of course, I'm a little bit biased. I love Lost. He's another OC boy. We stick out for each other. So I'm really excited in that sense.
Okay. Why don't I'll just do it for once, because Mark did say that we swapped roles for today. I will just be the devil's advocate here, because you just hyped up all those players. But let me tell you, Licorice was not great for the majority of this year. Yes, when he joined Golden Guardians, he picked that up, but he was not great. Pride Stalker is somebody that LEC has never decided to bring back into the fold. Olive had a really rough spring, started to get better towards the end. Lost was the weakest part of TSM, and Ole in the past has had some, I don't know if you want to call them motivation issues or just personal issues that have affected his team in pretty big ways. Everybody hypes up his performance, but I feel like everyone's kind of afraid of talking about are we sure that Ole's in a good place now? And for instance, whenever he went to notably at MSI, he benched himself in the middle of the tournament. So there's been stage issues in the past, and so there's a good chance that as much as you want to say all the great things about all these players, I also want to argue that there's some pretty big risks that all these players bring to the table. And so, it could be a thing where they all hit their peak and this team kills it, but there's also a chance that this is what the joke is, 10th place power ranking team or anything in between, right? There might be a world where one of these players is the issue and then they can just swap them in spring and make the upgrade that they need for summer and then really pop off there. But I just it's hard for me to have full confidence in this roster whenever there are so many question marks when you look at every single one of the players.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that part.
Hold on, let me disagree with him.
I have a little bit. Can I just address the Ole thing quickly and then back to you?
Yeah.
So, I think a year is a really long time to actually sit back, get sort of the help you need to deal with those sort of pressure issues, and come back as a stronger player. And I feel like if he hadn't addressed that, he probably wouldn't have come back. So that's why I'm not as sort of doubtful about it. That's sort of where my head's at. He doesn't like me, but you can do your part.
Raz has had enough of you. Here's what I'll say, Travis, and I'm sorry, Chime, I'm gonna have to do you dirty like this, but even if Ole comes back and struggles, he's still gonna be better than Chime. Okay?
Yeah, but better than Chime is not the thing that's gonna make this team pop off the collar.
And Pride Stalker is still gonna be better than Iconic. Okay? And at the end of last season, after they made the swap for Licorice, they finished 6-6. They had a 500 record. So you're talking about 2 upgrades in the roster, some continued improvement, hopefully. Oh, there he is. That's what he is doing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Donning the Golden Guardians guard for the podcast.
You're talking about 2 upgrades in the roster positions, some more time to gel, so it's not in the middle of the offseason for Licorice and Blaze Olive. Lost versus Stixay, I think, is pretty close. I don't want to, go too strongly one way or the other. I mean, but yeah, Lost was good, fine last year. So I don't know. Is this a team that could finish top half of the league? Fuck yeah, easily.
Okay, yeah,
easily.
Top half of the league.
Olive was almost a top 3 mid laner last split. I think I might have almost put it. I don't remember if I did or not, but he was borderline all pro.
Top half of the league with the rosters I'm seeing for next year. First off, is not particularly impressive. Second,
hey, but that's exactly my point.
Yeah. I mean, I would be more willing to buy the argument of the top has weakened and Golden Guardians can sneak their way in. It's just look, I guess for me, the big thing is I'm not arguing that Golden Guardians can't do it, but I don't know where the confidence comes from whenever there's so many question mark pings on these guys, and it is true. Mark is completely true that they've made upgrades in a lot of places, but I just there's not really a player on this roster that I feel like I can hang my hat on yet. And
yeah, just kind of like that FlyQuest roster that made back-to-back finals, right?
Yeah, where are they now?
They got blown up by the money.
I mean, nobody looks back and goes like, man, you know what was a great team? You know what was a powerhouse of North America is that FlyQuest roster. Which is sad, obviously. That says a lot about like what second place does for you. But I don't know. I mean, yes, Golden Guardians can do this. I just don't. I don't have your extreme confidence.
Tag Raz in.
Raz, Golden Guardians shirt. Give
Thank
me
you.
all the hype reasons.
Host.
Yes.
And not Mr. Pundit. Get me in. What are you doing?
Okay, sure. Go.
Look, I'm not here to tell you how to host a show or anything. Okay, so
Sounds like you are.
my top 5 this next split: 100 Thieves, Team Liquid.
Who are you shoving out for Golden Guardians?
EG and C9, all 6. I'm sorry. I agree with you. I think they're bottom. I think they're bottom 5. Look. I have faith.
Come on. You gonna leave me out to dry?
You're on your own, man. Let me take this shirt off.
Fuck you.
Raz, we've already seen you shirtless all over Team Liquid's YouTube channel.
Support.
You don't need to cover. I thought I was going to have support. That sounds like what Lost is going to be saying next split. Anyway.
Ooh. I'll say this. I mean, don't lock me in because I haven't really thought about it or done research on some of the other players yet. But Golden Guardians, top half of the league. Lock it in.
They have the potential. They can do it. I'm not saying there's no way in hell.
I don't pussyfoot around like that. They're doing it. Top half of the league. Spring split. Or I'm never believing them again in Arrow.
Okay. In spring. They have to do this in spring? In some ways, that's a great
option. 5 in spring.
Dude, in some ways, that is a brilliant prediction because, like, if you told me that 2 of the top 5 teams just fucking hard int in the beginning and have to make like changes, like
Cloud9 just implodes.
Like, yeah, there's like great variance. Like spring is the place where there's the highest level of variance, and so like that is actually like the place to make the prediction probably.
Wait, what's the bet with Mark? What is he doing?
I'm saying Travis is like, well, they could be top half of the league. I said I'm putting my name on it. They're going
Okay,
top
what are you
half of
gonna
the
do?
league in spring.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna be right. You tell me what you're gonna do.
I'm saying for you, if it doesn't happen, you're going shirtless on broadcast, okay?
I mean, you get the approval. It'll happen. I don't think anyone wants to see my hairy nips, but let's do it.
I'm just saying, hey, if it adds viewership, they'll be okay with it. They'll love the idea.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Jontino, thanks for the call. You at least have Mark on your side, even if Raz and I are not willing to hop on the
Well,
Golden
he said
Guardians
top 3. I'm not fully drinking the Kool-Aid.
You said wait. You just said top 3. Mark.
I said top 3
5?
in the take to get his attention.
Oh,
I
you're
think
saying
it's possible, but I think half is more likely. But
Alright.
I'm just glad that we actually have someone based on this show to agree with me.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh no.
Mark is always down. All right, thanks so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I just wanted to shout out the Ruined King game. I'm a big fan of turn-based RPGs and having a surprising amount of fun with it. So good job, guys at Airship Syndicate.
Yeah, very good. Well, thank you so much for the call, and we'll catch you later.
Yeah.
And I want to be on notice. I like the acquisitions that Golden Guardians has, okay? I like it. Just I don't have the faith in top 5, okay? That's it.
We'll see how things go, I guess. All right, that is the show. Marcus Zimmerman, do you have anything that you want to shout out?
It's 9 o'clock already.
Yeah, pretty much.
See, the show goes by so quick when you're having fun.
I don't have too much to shout out. Check out Genshin, our Genshin channel on YouTube. We'll be doing Resident Refresh on this channel again tomorrow, as well as our Arcane review, all that stuff. It should be done. I just guess Travis is too busy to put out our gameplay video from Genshin. So you can see me, Afromu, and yet troll his ass in co-op. That's a lot of fun. And other than that, I'm going to Boston tomorrow night to go home for the holidays, so I probably won't be too active.
When are you back?
Monday night.
I
I should be back for Hotline League. I should.
Yeah,
be
I was
okay.
gonna
I don't
say.
think I'm missing anything.
Yeah, you're going to be back by 7?
We'll see.
Okay, okay, great. Well, will we do Hotline League next week at this time? We'll see, everyone. I think is the takeaway. Mark just shouted out everything I was going to shout out. So, Rift reaction. We've got that interview with Commissioner Greeley about how Champions Queue is going to work. So, for the people who want reasons to not believe in it, you can do that. And if for the people that want reasons, so you can do it too. I'm sure people will just decide. And then, yeah, we're going to... I think there's no, just as a channel update, I don't know why I'm doing it at the end of this video, but like we're not going to be doing Run It this week because of the holiday. That usually releases on Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, and because of stuff, we're not going to do that. So channel might be kind of quiet, and like it might be calming down a little bit. I've got some videos that I want to create, but also I think I need to do my account review finally for Genshin Impact, and hopefully
Yeah, do that shit too. Come on.
Oh, yeah, well, I need to reset a little bit, Mark. So this maybe next week, is I think.
Where's your Sigma grind set, bro?
Dude, it's been grinded out of me. I think for the past couple of weeks is how I'm feeling. I'm just ready to finally play some Ruined King and chill. All right, what do you got for us, Raz?
Follow me on twitter.com/RazLCS. Also, I guess it's still Razleplasm on Twitch. I can't find any name with Raz. Like, I can't look. It's hard, but I might just stick to the Razleplasm. But I'm probably gonna be streaming, soon because I got this whole converter thing to allow me to stream Switch games.
Nice.
So that's a positive.
Well, I'm happy you got the mic. This is definitely
yes.
That's a good investment. Even Mark doesn't have that setup.
Huh?
I've offered it to him in the past, and he's like, I don't want to deal with that.
The what setup?
The fancy, like the $700, $800 setup that I have.
Yeah, Bakery. I could go Razil.
SM7B with like the focus right and all that stuff that everybody uses. Is yours still attached to your chair, Mark?
It was never attached to my... Well, it was for a little bit. You saw it yesterday when you came over on Saturday.
No,
Remember?
because it was broken when I came over.
Well, the cord was broken, but you saw what it was clamped onto. It was like a little bookcase thing next to me, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still there.
All right, cool. Stick around on stream. I'm going to be airing a video sponsored by Prime Gaming. There was one more thing I was going to say, and now I cannot remember what it was. So I guess that
I will say one thing. Just, we talked about Arcane quite a bit and how amazing the show was. On a sad note, the Mia Furlan, who is the voice actor for the Yordle prostitute, did pass in January. So, like, that's pretty sad for how amazing the show was that we didn't get to see.
I didn't actually realize that.
Yeah. So, like, they had in the Undercity Nights event, they had a room dedicated to her, and so like that's a really nice gesture. But yeah, shout out to that.
Yeah,
much love.
All right, thanks everyone. We put these up as a podcast, and we record them normally Monday at 7 o'clock. And thanks to Raz for being on, and we'll catch you all next week.